Welcome to Soul Purpose Healing, and welcome to Blog Talk Radio, the female solution. We have got a wonderful show. We're going to educate, entertain, inspire, and most important, my sisters of the mic are joining me. So I'm really excited to have them with me because you're going to get a lot of wisdom tonight from some beautiful goddesses. Let's say beautiful goddesses and stars. But let's welcome our global family because we are all over the world here in the Female Solution Blog Talk Radio. So we want to welcome them to Soul Purpose Healing.
Blog Talk Radio. Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, executive producer of the Female Solution radio show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network. Call 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you.
Yes. And of course, we want you to talk to us. That's why we're here. And good morning, grand rising, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome. So let's get your drums out. Before I bring on my sisters of the mic and the goddesses of the evening, let us welcome our ancestors, because these days, with all the confusion, division, we need lots of help to bring the School of Peace, which we're going to talk about tonight, to this war-torn planet. Oh my goodness. So let's bring on Becca Shea, my favorite drumming Christian artist, and let's invite our ancestors to join us. Hey!
And has blood has ransomed people for God. From every tribe and language, people, every nation. Where warriors are falling, there's a resurrection coming. It's your time to rise and shine. Wake up, you sleeping giant. The wounds of injustice are being healed by the peace of Yahweh, bringing us power through unity. Where warriors are falling, there's a resurrection coming. Dry bones come alive. Yeah, wake up, you sleeping giant. Your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel it, and I feel it. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry out, out for your heartbeat, oh. Give your heartbeat. This is the hour to know whose side to stand by. Raise up the standard in battle for every fellow tribe. Our warriors are fighting, there's a revival igniting. Search for such a time. Yeah, arise, you blazing fire. Brave and stand firm and listen to your destiny. The rhythm of our Father moves with victory. Where warriors are fighting, there's a revival igniting. So bad and arise, blazing fire. Your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel it, I feel it. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry out, out for your heartbeat, oh. Give your heartbeat. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. Together we cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry out, out for your heartbeat, oh. Give your heartbeat. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. Together we cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry out, out for your heartbeat, oh. Give your heartbeat.
All right, all right. I'm feeling the spirit of Yeshua, the spirit of truth and love. That is also known as Jesus in the Christian community. But we're going to talk about something, an issue or topic that's been so dividing in the community of both Christians, Black people, all over the country. The issue of death, abortion, and I've got my sisters to help me bring some light and truth, the spirit of Yeshua, to this topic. Welcome, ladies, sisters. How are you?
Oh, we're fantastic. How are you?
I'm hot now because I got my heater on. You know, the cold weather from Chicago has reached us. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, we thought we'd send you a breeze. We wanted to share.
No.
It pops off. Thank you very much.
I was looking for some of that Arizona heat today.
I bet it's Grand evening, Sister Zelda.
Grand evening. My sisters of the microphone. I was just sending the text out, sharing it.
Well, tonight I'm really grateful that you're here. I saw a panel discussion that we got to talk about, but I thought I'd in case people don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourselves? Because I don't know if everybody's watching on Saturday, our travel expert, Deborah, and I don't know how many of you are watching Naima on Wednesday and Saturday and other days. And then, of course, Monday morning mindfulness, probably everybody knows who that is. But Deborah, you want to start and just introduce yourself?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much for allowing me this platform. As always, I am so grateful to be on this a warrior and this spiritual journey.
Yes, it is.
And that's the spirit I got just now. We're all warriors. We all have positions. In a military format, there's different positions that each person has. Just like your body, there's different positions that each item has, and we're in our position at this time to help those who are going through. And on that journey, we all know that travel can be attributed to all healing. Yes. So I always want to bring to the platform opportunities in travel, how to travel safely and enjoy the journey.
Yes.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh, that's such wonderful, good advice. I'm ready to travel myself, but I got work right here for now. I'm
Girls trip.
traveling to the beach this week. I'm avoiding the Thanksgiving glutton feast that my family had.
The glutton feast.
To the
Yes.
beach because it's going to be 80 degrees, and my friend has invited me to come to his family's cooking because they're actually
That's nice.
and my son is ordering food from someplace else. So I'm like, anyway, I'm going to the beach. Go ahead. Next, Naima.
Should go, but you should go and just for the sake of family relations, spend some time, even if you don't stay all evening, but just make an appearance, because when a person invites you to their home for Thanksgiving, that's kind of special. So
Yeah, it is.
do that.
Yeah. They'll miss me here at the family gathering, but I'll be back in a few days. They'll be here.
Be at the beach. Well, I'm Naima Latif, and for those of you who I've not yet met, I am a media professional and have been privileged to meet these fantastic women in my journey toward spreading uplifting, enlightening information that can transform the world. And so on this platform, The Female Solution, we share time and each have a day. My day is Wednesday, in which I, along with a co-host who is also connected to another radio network, which actually was the first network I was doing this program, The Female Solution, and then they expanded to its own network. But my co-host Kareem Hamid joins me every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. And we talk about family relations and how to heal the hurt. And we've expanded that to include so many different ways of handling it. We did a whole series on men, where just men talked about how men can change the way they raise their sons so that we can have more cohesive families. We've talked about the damages of low self-esteem and broken commitments and all of those things that we've all experienced. But our main focus is to heal the hurt in the whole human family so that we can live as one.
So Naima, you wrote a book. I don't know, how many years ago did you write The Female Solution?
I wrote The Female Solution, I believe it was back in 2007.
Oh, wow.
Because my husband wrote the foreword to the book shortly before he transitioned in 2007 as a message to men. And this book is what actually evolved into the radio show, because I started getting requests to be guests on shows, and then a regular guest on a show out of a station in St. Louis. And from there, we realized that this particular topic that I was addressing, which is basically the unity among women, that began to grow, and two women joined with me to create a regular weekly show, The Female Solution, which it now has expanded. And it first expanded when I went abroad to visit my daughter for a couple of weeks in South Korea, and I didn't want the show to stop. So I selected 2 women who had been regular callers and always had a whole lot of wisdom to share. And I asked them to take over the show each a week, you know, and as I listened to the show, and it was like 9 p.m. there, but 7 a.m. here in the morning. But I love the show so much. I said, you know, I really like it better when I'm not on it. So I had them come on as hosts, and then we added others. And then, you know, of course, Zelda, we were both doing television production. She said she was thinking about a podcast. And then, of course, Deborah said, well, I got a travel show in mind. And it was just other things. And then there was Asada who was doing a book fair. And, you know, so everybody had something that they were doing in terms of a message they were already putting out that was enhancing lives. And so we all combined our collective genius and each contributed something very valuable to this platform. So I'm very grateful for that.
Okay, Naima, it's been 17 years since that book was birthed. Okay, I'm going to use that language. Since that book was birthed, okay, we're going to talk about birthing and abortion tonight because it's all spiritual, ladies.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see the changes that have occurred with women? You talked about unity among women. It ain't there. Okay. And I think a lot of it has to do with generations, but we're working on that. We're working on that. But how do you see the last 17 years and how we are going to have to change or not? How do you see what has happened over the last 17 years with the female solution? And what do you think is next in this journey?
Well, this has really been an education for me, just my last 17 years. One of the issues that the book raises is the fact that we often will dismantle our families because we're angry, because another woman perhaps has gotten involved in the relationship, you know, and we're angry at our husbands for what we call infidelity and all of that. And I was seeing, at the time that I was writing the book, I was teaching elementary and high school students. And I was seeing a pattern in our families, the breakup of the home and the devastating emotional impact it had on the children. And what I was seeing, a large part of the reason for the breakup was, you know, feelings of betrayal and that sort of thing. And, you know, and I looked at some numerical realities, the fact that we have had, as a nation, we've participated in 5 major wars that have decimated the young male population. And then we, as African-American people, we've had additional battles with everything from the economic struggles to the drug addiction. And in many places, just numerically, the ratio of male to female, male to or female to males that are emotionally whole and healthy is maybe like, you know, 5 to 1. Because so many men have went through, I mean, there's the Vietnam War, there's, you know, Desert Storm, all that. And then there's World War II, that whole generation, there's a drug craze. And so I saw what happened in our communities and the absence of men who were emotionally well enough to be in a relationship. And then those few that were, especially when we got to the higher the education, the less available the men they were. You found women fighting over men and women basically hostile toward each other because of the feelings that they have to compete for a man. It's a very emotionally unhealthy relationship for us to have, an environment for us to create. And children need to be in an environment where they are loved and they are mothered by a collective mothering. And we can't do that if we're in a belief that we're in competition over male companionship. So my suggestion was that we, first of all, put our focus on what's best for the children. How can we work together in taking care of children, whether it's helping with babysitting or child rearing or just emotional or even financial support. And then let's look at another cultural lifestyle that makes adjustments for that numerical imbalance, at least for one generation, so that we can get our families back intact. Because we had too many broken homes, too many broken hearts, and we're not coming up with any solutions that are helpful for the children. And I was seeing the effects on the children, them coming to school disruptive, angry, upset, fighting, or I saw just a lot of males who did not have male influence in their home, which meant they had no clue as to how to behave as young men, and a lot of young women who had very low self-esteem because of the absence of fathers in the home, not giving them a healthy relationship with a male. So we talked about that extensively, but I've come to understand that there's so many deep wounds inside of women because our self-esteem has been so decimated by being exploited, having our emotions used and misused so that someone can enjoy sex, not caring how it's affecting us emotionally, having us being pregnant by somebody who didn't intend to be a father or be in a family, having us abandoned. And there's just so much hurt. So when you are in that deep of hurt, you can't really love someone else until you can love yourself. And that's why our relationships are a shambles.
So we still, I mean, we can see a lot of issues in the last 17 years that still need to be fixed. That's why we're still, the creator has still helped the female solution evolve on so many levels, especially when it comes to the homeless. I was thinking about that as you were talking. And Zelda, our next host, has really had some personal experience and relationships with the homeless that I want her to share. And so, Zelda, tell our audience a little bit about you. And by the way, you are looking like a goddess on a throne tonight, honey. This throne you're on. I love this throne with the glasses and the hair and all that, and the colors and the art. It's like goddess Zelda take over.
Yes.
Wow.
I
received that.
I'm just saying, you're looking good.
Yes.
Well, I'm
your hair flowing there. Yeah.
I'm only a reflection of what I see.
Yes.
And what I see in front of me is sheer beauty, sheer love, sisterhood. And Naima, you are a tough act to follow. And it is because of Naima
that we love Zelda so much.
Thank you. I received that. It is because of Naima that I am in this sisterhood today. Because, as she said earlier, we're both producers over at KNTV in Chicago. And the first time she asked me, I told her no. And the second time, something said, I listened to that little still small voice. Said, you better go ahead and do that, because just have a conversation with it and see how it's going to go. Because I was always under the impression that because my background is broadcasting, I've worked at most of the top 10 radio stations in Chicago. And there's a strict regimen of what you can say and how you can say it. And I was like, do I really want to be bothered with that again? So once we had the conversation, I'm like, cool. Okay. So once I'm in and I see the ability that I have to say what I want to say when I want to say it, as long as I meet some guidelines here, I can talk about my projects, which is the homeless. One of them is the homeless. And I am learning so much from the homeless. Excuse me, the unhoused. You've been homeless all your life. It's challenge to be mindful. We're talking Monday morning mindfulness. People think I'm teaching on Monday morning mindfulness. No, I'm learning every Monday morning on Monday morning mindfulness, because Naima and I came up with the idea, the thought of what we're going to talk about. Well, it's Monday and it's morning, and I want to talk about mindfulness, so let's call it Monday morning mindfulness.
Hey.
But the homeless, the unhoused population makes me so very grateful, because we as a society of people take for granted that when we go to bed at night, that's somewhere warm and you have a roof over your head, you can get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, or get you a drink of water, or make a phone, or whatever you need to do. It's available. They don't have that available. And my little brother, Douglas Robinson, who I started this project out because he was homeless. And And when he passed, I went to his funeral. All these other people came to, all these other unhoused people came to his funeral. And I was like, wow, look at that love. We don't even have that in the housed community. And it touched my heart, and my heart said, keep doing what you're doing. So I go out every week and we cook and we feed. And I'm cooking my first Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Y'all know I can't cook. For people who know me, know I can't cook and don't cook. So I've just learned to not too long ago that I'm the sous chef. I learned that watching The Chi.
Oh,
Somebody got to cut them onions, them bell peppers, that celery, tomatoes, whatever. Somebody got to do that stuff anyway. But the homeless don't have that. The unhoused doesn't have that. And they are living off the land like we're supposed to be living off the land. And we're going to Costco and Jewel's and Mariano's and Dominic's. We're supposed to be living off the land, and we're not. And because of that, it's chaos and confusion all over the world.
In some places, the land is so toxic.
Yes, it is.
We have to be careful.
But you can do it in your home, wherever you live. If you got some light and some dirt, you can grow some seeds. Even though Monsanto came along, took all the seeds, you can still buy seeds somewhere.
You just gave me an idea. We're gonna work on that when we expand our farming program. We're gonna go to those areas where there's land and see if we can detoxify the soil. Start growing things, so we can start that this spring, and they can really live off the land with things that are growing there, and it'll be absolutely free because it's growing right out the dirt. Yes.
Right. And speaking of trees,
Your love.
I had a meeting with what's it called, the Chicago Arboretum or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, they had a meeting, and they want to get together and help us help the community by growing more trees. So I'm following up on that. So I'll keep everybody posted on that, because
Some
you
fruit
saw the
trees.
video yesterday. Today's Sunday. Yeah, yesterday when I talked about the trees, the little video clip showed how in certain areas there's more trees, and then other areas there's less trees.
Yes.
We need as many trees as we can possibly get.
Yeah. And I heard you say fruit trees. I just acquired a couple of fruit trees in Arizona.
Oh,
wow. What kind of fruit?
We're starting with lemons.
Oh,
wow.
Wow. Eat lemons every day.
Bringing them to Chicago?
Are they going to ship them here?
Yeah, we can get them shipped
Then
here.
we will get all our lemons from you.
It takes a couple of years for them to really.
Yeah, because they're like saplings when they were baby trees. Yeah.
Right. But yes.
But when that happens, you will put us on the list. We drink lemon water every morning. Real
Fresh
lemon, not that fake lemon
from
in the jar.
Deborah's yard or garden.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. All right.
That sounds
We'll have to do a show on that, Deborah.
Yes. Well, how you travel for different nourishment. Yeah. Because we can't grow lemon trees in our climate.
No.
Yeah, we have to find out what grows here in Chicago. Now I know my sister grows lime down in Florida. She's got lime trees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this show developed out of something we call, that I recognize as the Death Cafe, but we like to say a transition cafe or afterlife cafe. But what I heard recently on this panel just really stuck with me that we need to talk about. And it's a woman by the name of Tiffany Montgomery. Has anybody heard of her?
Tiffany Montgomery.
Oh my goodness. I saw her on a YouTube interview, and I said, who is this woman? Who is this sister? So I Googled her. Oh, well, what kind of, she's got a history like never before. She was a teenage mom. She's an author. She's college dropout. She started a high-level online educational platform, and she's the founder of Covered by God Ministry. I mean, this woman has done so much with her life, starting as a teen mom. Wow. And she has a testimony about having abortions. Wow. It was like really revealing and enlightening. So I want to play an interview or a show that she was on that gives us, first of all, a biblical perspective on the topic of reproductive rights. And then I want to play another woman her perspective, which is a lot more secular. And then we're going to come in, ladies, and give the solution.
Okay.
Which Naima knows on Wednesday, that brother talked about the solution. That we need to teach in the School of Peace that Naima is developing. We got to start teaching a whole new method, because when you hear from Tiffany and this other woman, and we can understand why this is such a divisive topic of ignorance. So I'm going to play Tiffany. Tiffany Montgomery is her name. And we're going to hear her perspective on the reproductive rights.
And those who want to know, she spells her name Tiphani.
Right. So we're going to hear from two women, and then the four of us are going to bring a higher, more spiritual solution and perspective. We can talk about what they talk about, but I just want everybody to hear Tiffany's perspective on this.
In the Bible, there is a God named Moloch, lowercase g. Moloch is spoken about in the Old Testament, Old Covenant, and also in the New Testament, New Covenant. He's talked about in both covenants. Moloch was the god in the Bible that was assigned to kill your children as a sacrifice. Maybe you wanted more money, maybe you wanted love, maybe you wanted fame or fortune. You sacrificed this child. Well, you may say, well, Tiffany, I'm not doing it for this. Well, if you said I can't afford to have this baby, and you had an abortion, you sacrificed it for the money. If you say my career's really taken off and I can't really use a baby, you have now sacrificed your child for fame, influence, and to be well known. You did the same thing that they did in the Bible. Nothing is different. With that being said, there was always a consequence to the action.
All right, let's pause it right there. This is important. Okay, this is very important, because what essentially Tiffany is saying, that most abortions are happening because people are selfishly just having casual sex, and they're just having using abortions as birth control. Whereas I'm hearing a lot of arguments where people say, no. What if I'm raped? I don't want to have the baby of someone who rapes me. No. What if it's between me and the life of my child? You can't take abortions away.
Also, it's my body, my choice.
It's my body, it's my choice. I actually pulled some studies just to get some context on this confirmation from this conversation. A 2004 study from Gudemacher, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Institute, found that approximately 4% of women cited health concerns, either their own or the fetuses, as the primary reason for seeking an abortion. So it's about 4%. Wasn't a huge amount. And the CDC reported that in 2019, 0.2% of women obtaining an abortion cited rape as the primary reason. And 0.3 cited incest. So it's interesting. A lot of these issues that's brought up is no really data to support that that's happening in large numbers. But what I want to talk about is just our abortions. Is it a healthcare issue with our women, or is it just a form of birth control now in our society? And I'll start here with you, Ashley, since I know you have limited time.
Well, we started this conversation saying that morals weren't going to be a determining factor, but often when we then enter the conversation of abortion, it's the first thing that people lead with. So I like to be consistent. I am a proponent for pro-choice, that it is a woman's right to choose, and that no person should have any say over any person's body, not a man's body and not a woman's body. And that's, it is a form of access to care. And we have seen since Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2020, that the amount of miscarriages that have led to women not being able to have children in the future because of the 1 in 30 women live in a state with an abortion ban. It is a form of healthcare. It is a form of that it needs to be accessible to people. So I am fundamentally in support of a woman's right to choose, and you make your personal choice what is right for you. We also know the story of Amber Thurman, that she was beginning to have kids. And Amber, a Black woman in Georgia, is no longer with us because she had to travel across state lines. She couldn't get access to care. It's also putting people, physicians, in this predicament when their patients come in to seek health care, to see what's happening to them. They are, in a state like Texas, at risk of facing criminal prosecution for potentially offering care. So a lot of the consequences that people have warned about would happen if Roe has been overturned, we are seeing them come to life. Melanie is right. Obama said that he was going to codify Roe. We understand you need to have a 60 vote threshold. And it is very hard to codify Roe when that was still the law of the land. Many people are disappointed that he didn't do that. But the fake case of the matter is that Donald Trump overturned Roe. And to D1's point, is he is talking out of two sides of his mouth on this issue. He knows that it is extremely polarizing for women. White women historically have voted more Republican leaning. But this election, we are seeing this massive gender gap, because to have a constitutional right taken away from you is gutting. And so we'll see tomorrow, but we do believe that a lot of women are leaning towards Harris, independent Republican women, because of the decision of Roe v. Wade being overturned. And that is also why we know in 2020, when so many Republicans predicted a red wave would come, it didn't happen because people were so frustrated. So I think it should be your own personal decision with you, your partner, and your doctor. And no one on this call should really have any say of what I do in my personal life.
Okay, that was the secular point of view. No more. She said right up front, why are we bringing morals into this? Let me tell you something about this one. Amber Thurman, she mentioned Amber Thurman. That woman became the poster child for reproductive rights. Here's another perspective on it that Miss Secular Woman didn't bring in. A woman gets pregnant. She's pregnant with twins. For whatever reason, I don't know if she was single or daddy wasn't around, she decided, I don't want these twins. I don't know how far. I don't know if you've heard about this, because they brought it up during the election. She was the poster child of why women need to have the right to murder their babies. That's it. So she got pregnant with twins. She goes to another state. She's from Georgia. Goes to get an abortion pill now. Abortion pill.
I think I remember that story.
So she takes
I think I remember the story. She had a partial miscarriage or something, but it didn't.
Yeah. Okay. The thing is, the abortion pill didn't work. You got two babies growing. I don't remember how far along she was, but she took an abortion pill. It didn't work. Just like abortions don't always work. So to me, this was the first indication of a lack of consciousness, responsibility, and no thought about this might not be the solution. Anyway, she took the abortion pill and things started going wrong in her body. And so she went to a hospital, and people were claiming the hospital waited way too long to help her because she became septic. If you know what septic is, she became toxic throughout her body. And people are blaming the hospital for not taking care of her right away. And the consequence result is all three are now dead, gone, transition. The two twins are gone, and she's gone. So this is where we, the Female Solution, I think, can bring wisdom to the conflict, the misunderstanding, the division to this whole topic, because it would really, to me, presents a need to go back to our youth, our young people, and start reteaching them about their body, having respect for their body, and including the partners that they might have in the future to be in agreement with what is going to happen when we lay down in the bed together and start getting passionate and intimate. So tonight, ladies, that's what I present to you. And especially Naima, we've talked about the School of Peace, because I think it's a war going on with women right now in the reproductive age. Thank goodness I'm beyond that, but I want to help my granddaughter who's 10 years old. She's just starting her period. And one of the first things I'm telling her, you need a booklet that you start tracking your period so you get to know your body, honey. Now she's starting to listen, even at 10. But I think that's one of the first steps that we are responsible for as older women, is to start helping these younger women and boys become more responsible. So Who wants to go next? What's your thought on this? And
Okay, my mind went.
how do you think we can bring the solution? Okay, Naima, let's start with the man, your guest on Wednesday. The lesson he was bringing about the female body that blew my mind, about the vagina and what's going on there. And I think that's kind of where we have to start teaching these young women and men that we can't leave the boys out now. I think the boys and girls ought to be in the same class, learning the same thing about both bodies.
Same time.
And how to prevent. That woman thinks that abortions are healthcare. The secular view is, abortions are healthcare. Really? I heard a saying by someone, have abortions replace the condom. The condoms don't work half the time. So the abortion, and just like the abortion pill doesn't work half the time. So we got to come up with better solutions.
Yes.
Abstinence helps.
Well, there's a way that we can help young people understand sexuality before they reach puberty, so that they are empowered to make choices, not out of fear, not out of fear of public shame, not out of fear of accidental pregnancy, but out of wisdom. And we haven't had the opportunity to make choices out of wisdom because sex was introduced to us shrouded in shame and fear. So now that we have wisdom, we have to reverse the mistakes of those who came before us, who did the best they knew how. They just didn't know any better. We now know better. We've got a caller.
She said we had a caller, and evidently they needed to talk to her personally.
Well, she's on the on air everywhere. She's on the Female Solution blog talk.
Yeah. So when does it start? When do you start educating? There's no perfect. You don't want to put a label of an age on it. You have to start from the beginning, understanding your own body. And as you raise your child, your infant, especially like cleaning, the cleanliness, being clean, that's a start. Knowing who to do what is appropriate, what is not. So don't wait till they're 5 and try to start educating the child. It has to be done before, as you know. But again, the person who's educating has to know, has to be aware. Because a lot of times we're not. And I know this clip that you played, it could be broken up in like 15, 20 different topics. It was so, all over the place for me. But I know the guy said, or someone said that the abortions are because of one reason. And it's not true. There are many reasons and many selfish reasons that folks opt to get an abortion. They don't know another way. So it's not necessarily right or wrong. It is a choice, but it's just like killing. It's just like taking a life. It is a life. It is a choice. Just like anybody has a choice to take a life standing on the corner. It is a choice. Mm-hmm.
If you look at Amber Thurman, the Creator allowed all 3 of those souls to leave this planet. Okay.
Yeah.
And you have to ask why, because there are many instances where the Creator.
What was the lead up? What was the lead up? How did she get pregnant? What was the situation?
Well, even that,
getting pregnant.
It's all in divine order.
Situation.
It's
exactly.
All in order. So why didn't the Creator intervene and save those babies? Why? You could ask all these
because it was a message. It was a message.
Exactly.
It's a message.
she is now, to me, a powerful teacher about consequences that young people are not learning. They're not considering. They're
They don't
doing
know.
like we did. I'm sure I'm preaching to myself and remembering my own
Mhm.
actions
Mhm.
first,
Mhm.
that we are not teaching these young people consequences when they can defend her and say, well, she's all victim. She was a victim of the medical system. She was a victim of the man who got her pregnant. She's a victim, blah, blah, blah. No, the lesson, we have to turn that into a powerful lesson about consequent choices and consequences. That the abortion pill, the abortion, all of those are not without risk. And if we can get this message in our school of peace, Naima's not here yet, but I don't know how many of you listened to her Wednesday guests when he was talking about the vagina is the portal from heaven to earth. From heaven to earth, there's a portal called a vagina. Oh my goodness, when I heard that, I was like, bring it home, bring it home.
And it's been there all the time.
We say that all the time.
No, we don't.
In our
No,
prayers. We talk about that.
Say that enough. We don't say that enough to young people.
Oh, okay.
It would be, to me, they would help see the sacredness of their body. Oh, Naima's back. Let me bring her back. Okay, you have a call.
It's heaven. That's why they're all trying to get there.
Yeah, we have a caller. I want to make sure I give them an
regardless
opportunity.
of what the consequences are. I don't want to get heaven. I want a piece of that heaven. Farrakhan said it. Where's the best place on the planet? In the arms of a woman, in the bosom of a woman.
There you go.
Inside a woman.
We have a caller. Since they've been waiting since the beginning, I'm sure they have a perspective. You want to bring on area code 314-677? Can you hear us?
Is that on my studio or yours? You're talking from your studio.
Well, they pressed 1, so they must have heard. And I have your mic open, your 215 mic open on my studio board. So if you see
what are you, 773-851?
Now I'm 347 something or other, I think.
498?
Probably, yes.
Okay, so let me open up that.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, you can hear them now.
314, your mic is open.
Look, here's the thing. That lady in that skit put out a lot of misinformation.
Okay, who is this? Excuse me, who is this talking?
Yeah, for those who don't recognize your voice, could you please identify yourself? Thank you.
Go ahead.
First, one thing she said that Trump done away. Trump didn't do away with anything. You don't have the power to do away with nothing. Another thing,
this Negro
the Constitution gives the states the right to make those decisions because there's no constitutional abortion in the Constitution. If it's not in the Constitution, then it gives the right through Article 10 to the states to make the decision. Is it a medical procedure? People say it is. They talk about medical rights. So if it's a medical procedure, the states have a right to regulate it. If you go get your tooth pulled, your dentist has to follow regulations in how they prepare you for your tooth, even on the disposal of the biohazardous tooth. That's under regulation. So that person was, and one of the major things that you should do is teach your kids how to read and comprehend what it is that they're reading. People, they don't do that today. They just read over things, gloss over the words, and there you are. Wah wah.
Okay, so Pianki, what do you think is the solution, especially for what is our role as elders? How can we turn this whole thing around to help women appreciate their bodies as well as the boys that
you educate?
Okay, educate.
You educate your kids by it.
Yeah.
Educate. Should assisted suicide be legal? Gabarkian wanted to have assist patients in assisted suicide, and they didn't want him to do it. So now they say that a woman can go have an abortion and kill that child at any point along the pregnancy, even within hours of it being delivered. And the ones that do that a lot of times, well, they got a haunted womb. and you can conceive and develop a fetus in a haunted womb, would you want to live or stay the night in Amityville? Heck no, it's haunted.
Amityville is in this story.
Haunted womb. He said all these deaths occurring in these wombs and make it like a haunted house with.
Well, you know, let me tell you what Tiffany Montgomery's testimony was about. She said she had 2 abortions, and after she had become born again, she started having pain in her abdomen, and she had this pain for 8 months. Mm-hmm. She went to a church, and she kept saying, "Well, this white woman asked her, how many abortions have you had?" She said, "What? How do you know? What are you asking? Why are you asking me that?" And just because she had been having pain in her abdomen. Mm-hmm. So what the story she says is that woman prayed for a spirit of I guess you'd say Amityville to be released, repent. She helped her repent, renounce, and replace. That's what she calls her routine, her process of healing her body from the abortions that she had. So there's a need, she said, to first of all acknowledge your imbalance or your error, all abortions, and then renounce the demons, or Moloch, as she put it, who the spirit that was giving her that pain in her abdomen. And she said she had been to the doctors, they had taken x-rays, they couldn't find anything wrong with her, even though she had had pain for 8 months. But this woman who prayed for her deliverance, and then the day after, the pain was gone, and she said she never had that pain again. So there's a spiritual element, she was saying, to women who have had these abortions.
That's true.
And then if you have the mind and the consciousness to turn it around and reverse it, then it can be reversed.
Well, this is something that I'd like to add.
Naima, you know of Granite City Hospital, they're right outside East St. Louis. Mm-hmm. I know of a young lady in her family. She's in her early 20s. She had a late-term abortion. Mm-hmm. A late-term abortion. And the baby was about ready. Well, she complained to her grandmother as to the day that she hear crying in her head. So, yes, it's truth to that. You taking a life, and if you know what that sperm goes through to get to the point where it can penetrate that egg, you can only take your head off to it. That sperm has accomplished more in its period of time. And those that don't make it, I mean, just look at it. Less than 1%. And we take his life like that.
And Naima's guest on Wednesday pointed out that the sperm is what? A sun ray? Do you remember what he said? The sperm is a sun ray of energy that goes through the woman's womb, vagina, to get to that egg. So it's like a very powerful energy that, like he said, that sperm can even make it, is all divine energy. It's all divine plan. So we need to be teaching that to our women and our boys and girls. Let's say boys and girls. And Deborah was saying, well, if I maybe before they're 5, yeah, maybe if they're ready. There's some smart kids out there. They're ready for some kind of teaching.
Well, I'm gonna just mention a couple of things. First of all, the way we perceive sexuality, because we have been indoctrinated with shame about our bodies, makes it difficult for us to discuss it with a 5-year-old, because we're believing that it's something wrong. And until we undo that thinking in ourselves, we're not going to be able to present a healthy view of sexuality to our children. Now, I was very fortunate. My daughter's kindergarten teacher got pregnant when she was, my daughter was 5 years old in kindergarten. And when she got pregnant, of course, she's getting bigger and bigger, and the children started asking questions. Well, what is that? So she sent a note home. She said, look, the children are asking about my pregnancy. And so I'd like to turn this into a science lesson and explain to them about life. And we thought it was, wonderful, perfect, because it just so happened her husband worked at the school and everything. So they could kind of even understand it from a family perspective. You have the mother, you have the father, you have the baby growing inside. So she did that, and she's an excellent teacher. Matter of fact, she just transitioned I had a big funeral last weekend, and that was one of the things I was so grateful to her for, because she made the teaching of life a wholesome lesson for the children. And then when her child was born, of course, all the children saw the baby. She brought the baby to school, you know, and everything. So, and they grew up watching the child grow up. So everybody in that class learned about sexuality in a very wholesome, healthy way, where there was no shame attached. Matter of fact, you know, as my daughter was taking a bath, she don't watch this show, otherwise she'd kill me for telling you this. But when she was taking a bath, and she said, "Mom, can you tell me where's that part where the babies come out?" And so, you know, I showed her. So, oh, it's right there. See, you know, and cause see, men, you know, men and women are like puzzle pieces. You know, they fit together. So, you know, the male has a part that fits in your part, and she goes, "Oh, okay." Never had a problem with her about sexuality since then, because it was the way it was explained.
How you teach that lesson involving two males?
What do you mean? Like if you have
Homosexuality, you mean? Homosexuality.
Well,
you got a male, you got two males, one the mother and one's the mommy.
You can't teach it that way, because those aren't puzzle pieces that fit together. No, they really don't.
That's a good way.
Well, I think you to answer you, Bianchi, I'll answer you that, because I've been really observing that behavior, especially with Diddy drama. We got this Diddy reality show we're all watching, and if you know anything about what Diddy has been doing and caring, it's an emotional mental illness that two men. I think, this is my opinion, it's an emotional mental illness that two men want to do what they do together, and it involves sucking and booty and all that. And it's a childhood, to me, it's a childhood trauma event that's lodged, as my guest said on Friday, who teaches transcendental meditation. The nervous system gets totally out of whack when there are traumas in their life that have not been resolved. And I am really understanding that more and more as I've journeyed through this holistic health field, that homosexuality, lesbianism, it all has to do with a spinal cord that is out of alignment, and the traumas from that from their life, from their childhood, have not been healed. So that's how I would explain it to my grandchildren going forward.
Well, you got there. One thing, sperm was not designed to be deposited in somebody's throat, into their stomach. Secondly, sperm was not designed to be deposited in someone's anal tract. Can you imagine a little old sperm swimming his head off, trying to duck and dodge the immune system that's normally in a vagina canal, and all of a sudden it runs into a turd? Think about that.
So now,
we really don't want to think about it, but since you put it out there,
we don't. But now we got another caller also, which I guess you can take whenever you're ready. But
okay,
now there are two things.
Caller, so we don't have to go on. Go ahead, man.
There's two things about sexuality. One is sexuality in which there is the act of reproduction, and other sexuality in which there's just stimulation. So every sexual encounter is not an act of reproduction. But once again, we have, as a human species, such confusion about our genitalia, about the stimulation that comes from sexual contact, and all of the myths surrounding hell and damnation if you're not married, and blah, 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 blah. And none of it gives intelligence to our children. Like you were saying, Viata, our guest on Wednesday that gave a spiritual vision, not religious, but a spiritual vision of the act of reproduction. You were talking about the essence of the creator coming out of the male. That's the essence of the creator, the life force energy that has the power to create life. And it's a spark of light that unites with the womb of a woman, in which that is the connection to the divine. That's the connection between the earth and the divine, that passageway. So if we're able to give our children a spiritual understanding of the act at a very early age, at 4 or 5 years old, when they're, trying to figure out what are these body parts, and we explain, this is your connection to the divine. This is where life enters the world. And the same thing, the same lesson has to be taught to a man so that he has more respect for his own body parts and their functions before puberty, when you lose your mind. But during the time when you have the curiosity about your body and how it works, and it can be explained without shame, fear, or guilt, but just some basics so that children understand. And when you do it at that age and don't plant any kind of guilt and shame attached to it, but a deep sense of responsibility for when you get to the age where you can have children and you can create children. This is a trust from the Creator that you will use this part wisely, because you're going to be bringing people to the earth. Okay. And they have to have that as part of their understanding very early, so they will choose not to engage in acts of intimacy that could open that door to bring forth life, when they know that, number one, this isn't a person that they want to bring life with, and they're not ready to be a partner in caring for that life. And number two, they realize that this is an act in which you are sharing your essence, your spiritual essence with someone. You are blending and becoming one. If they understand those things, not from a religious point of view of hell, damnation, and God's going to punish you and all that, because that doesn't work when you're 13 and hot and everything. It just doesn't work. So you have to have a deeper personal spiritual understanding that makes you choose when you want to be sexually intimate, and you have wisdom because it's planted early. And it has to be both male and female. It doesn't work if we only do one gender and not the other. We've had on our show, our co-host talked about how men are told to get as much sex as they can from however many they can. That's how they're raised.
Woman to save herself.
Well, this new sex ed, and we got a caller. I know you have a caller, and I have comments in the YouTube I want to read. But the new sex education class is boys and girls hearing the same lesson, the same message. We ain't separating nobody. Everybody gonna get the same message of spiritual and sacredness of the body. So you want to open? Is the caller on air? Do you want to?
773-851. Let me open your mic. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and your comments about this topic. We're talking about life and transitions and abortion.
Oh, this is Brother Kufi on the line. Go ahead, and then I'm going to read the comments in YouTube.
Yeah, we hear you.
Well, a woman right is a woman right. Bottom line. The government used that law. We were born since the 90s, over 100 million children. Could you imagine our population at this time? But I understand. Even when I had a child with a woman, she asked me, did I want an abortion? I said, no, period. Abortion is not killing the child. Abortion is terminating a relationship between the man and the woman. And that's another thought. I don't want to deal with you. I want to abort this child because I don't want to deal with you. We're broken up. We don't get along. Let's get an abortion.
Okay, and Kufi.
That's a woman's right.
Kufi, hey, let me just put this in there. You're killing a relationship with the Creator as well, because when you allow that sperm and egg to develop as it was intended, you're going to have a real serious relationship with your Creator as that baby is growing in the womb. So that's the first interruption of a relationship, in my opinion. It's not you and the man. No. Yeah,
well,
that relationship.
I told her to have it.
Huh?
And she had twins.
Yeah.
I was conscious.
Yeah.
To do it, and I have a funny relationship with my kids. Are blessed, but I didn't have sex since I was in my 20s because I had a pet. You know, mother and father, get your child a cat or a dog.
If you want someone to love you, find something that
Someone you can hug.
yeah.
Cat or a dog.
Stuff that you can hug. Get a cat or a dog.
I ain't trying to have no baby. I'll feed this dog. I'll feed this cat. That's what I went through. You know, I know it's funny, but that's just, you know, my little injection. But the government doesn't have any rights over a woman's womb. And so I agree with that part. But after the trimester, now we're inflicting pain upon a human being. That baby's, you know, is full grown, got arms, legs, got a heart, got feelings. So if you're going to abort, let's make it the first trimester, which is what, first 3 months. Give her counseling during those 3 months. And if she decides to have the baby after 3 months, have it. If she decides to abort it, then abort it. That's my question. Do you think the first trimester should be the deadline?
You know, we're talking
I got
about
a question, Naima.
we're talking about educating them before they so they don't even need to do that. Let me just read this. I just thought about my friend Van Dorn, to put it in a spiritual light. We got to put it in a spiritual light, because these women, these secular minded women, they don't know, they don't get it. My friend said, to the greater glory of the Most High, which happens to be I. To the greater glory of the Most High, which happens to be I. Now, if we can teach that out of the religious mind, that baby growing in you is the creator. That everything about your body is the kingdom of the Most High. We got to put that message first to avoid the third trimester abortion, whatever, any trimester. We want to turn that around. There's going to always be women who are going to choose abortion. In this society, but we're going to focus on prevention.
Can I say this? I'm gonna stop talking.
Go ahead.
You know when a man puts on a rubber and he has sex with a rubber, that's the abortion.
That's what?
That's what?
The abortion, you say? Oh, when you're preventing
abortion,
impregnation. Well, you know, I'd like to address the thought.
Let me read these comments.
Thought of whether or not you're killing a person when you.
Let me read these comments before you go, because these people they're Lawrence Lenoir. Thank you, Lawrence, for joining us.
Lawrence Lenoir, my guest tomorrow morning on Monday Morning Mindfulness.
Oh, that's
Lawrence. Pastor Reverend Lawrence Lenoir.
Okay, so he says yes, but that was at 8:54. So I think he was referring to Pianki, and then he has question marks, which might have been to Pianki, and then he said he off track. Okay, he's off track. He believe, and then he's left. Phyllis Wilson is laughing. I'm glad we got some humor in here. Thank you, Phyllis, for the laughter.
One of my big whist buddies.
All right, Phyllis.
Let me ask
and then Lawrence, wait a minute. Lawrence says he a trip. I don't know.
So we don't know if it's you or Kofi, Bianchi. One of y'all's a trip, according to Lawrence.
And then finally, Lawrence Lenoir says, yes, educate children before the streets and the predators.
Amen.
That's what we're talking about tonight. Prevention and education. Now, Naima had a comment.
Yes, and well, Bianchi, you had a question, and I'll answer that question along with my comment. So
I got a question to you, Naima.
Yes.
A pregnant woman is in a criminal act where she's shot. The baby's killed in her belly, and she's killed. Why do they call it a double homicide? Wow.
Well, because it's a life that she was carrying, and sometimes it depends on what month the baby was like. It's like 8th month or something like that. It's someone who could potentially have lived even if she died. So I think they call it a double homicide if the pregnancy is at the stage where if they manage to save, even if the mother passed away, they could have managed to save the baby if the baby had not also been fatally shot. I think that's when they call it a double homicide.
Well, I've seen murder charges leveled much earlier than 8 months. But the thing is, you got those say it's not a person because it's not born. But as I said before, you kill the mother and that fetus growing in her, you are charged by the judicial for a double homicide.
Yeah, that's true. If she's pregnant, and I don't know at what month they consider that a double homicide. I've seen it up to maybe the 7th month. I haven't seen it earlier than that. But the statement that I was going to make when it comes to looking at whether this is a person or not a person and that sort of thing, you're a spirit before you enter a body, and that includes your unborn child. So we're not making souls. The soul already exists. And there are 3 people who are making a decision when there's a sex act. There's the man who makes a decision, and he goes through a whole physiological change to actually be able to inject sperm into a woman. So that's a conscious thought he's made. And then there's the woman, and once the egg is fertilized and so forth, then that begins the growth process of the fetus that's going to become the body of the child. But it's really the child, the soul of the child, that has made the choice before the man or the woman. They've already decided they're going to be parents. They're going to be the child of those parents. So it's the soul of the child who really has made the choice to be born. And that's what we learned from a lot of near-death experiencers and some people who've come back with pre-birth memories and have explained, you choose your parents. Now, what happens, you might choose parents and you know that maybe they're a little shaky or maybe they're going to stay together or whatever, but for whatever reason, you want that genetics, you want that situation you want to be born into, whatever it is. But the child chooses those parents, knowing sometimes that the woman might be a little shaky about carrying that fetus to term. And that's a chance that they take. And then if that woman aborts the baby before it's born, that soul will go on to either someone else or will wait till later on. If they really want to come through her, they'll wait until she's in a better situation and decide to enter her again and be her child. So that's the decision on the soul level that a child is making. And so even if a woman chooses to end the pregnancy, that child still might come through her again later on in life, or might just decide to go somewhere else. But you're never actually killing a person because you can't kill anyone. There is no death. You're either living inside a body or outside a body, but you're always alive. And that's what people remember their pre-birth memories.
I have another question for Kianki. I have a question for
real
Kianki.
quick. Hang on for a second. Hang on for
I have
a
a question
second.
for Kianki.
Okay, hold on.
With Naima. What about a miscarriage, Naima? Because
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you mentioned miscarriages, because a miscarriage. I'm glad. Well, let me answer that question, because a miscarriage is when the child has changed their mind about coming.
For marriage,
I want you to hear this, and I want to have to mute your mic.
Kofi, hold on, Kofi. All right,
I'm going to give you all a couple of seconds to make the choice to stop talking. Then I'm going to mute your mic, so you can either do it by choice or do it by force.
Hold on, Kofi, and wait.
Okay, now, thank you. When there is a miscarriage, that is when the child has changed their mind about coming, because they also have the power to choose. So there are 3 people who can choose whenever someone is going to be born. The father, once they've made that choice and shot that sperm, that's the end of their power to choose. They made that choice. So they really can't say after that point, because they could have chosen not to even perform the act. And
I was just making comment on the legal aspect of, because that child is listed on your tax return as a deduction, and you listed as baby whoever, little baby whoever.
That's true. I mean, I'm just talking about in terms of life and death. You don't have the power to kill anybody, but you can prevent a child from coming through you and inhabiting the body that was made inside of you if you just simply don't want to be the mother. And that choice is something that if you make, then you're violating that child's choice because that child made the choice to come through you for a reason. So you can ignore that child's choice. And what happens after that is going to be between you and that child who
99% of single people. Abortion doesn't happen in marriages. Abortion does not happen in marriages. Maybe
sometimes it does. Small percentage, yeah.
Single people. Okay.
So
that's just facts.
So the question is,
that's the problem that we're dealing with.
The question is, what do we teach our children?
Without being married. Okay. Without being married, your option is abortion.
Well, that's
all I want to say.
And yeah, that's time for another show. How do we educate? And a lot of folks who have children who need to be educated aren't educated themselves. So where do they go?
Thank you all for your comments. We appreciate you. That's the thing. That's the challenge that we have, is educating children differently than the way the society is educating them. Because we heard the secular point of view, and then we can hear the religious point of view, the hell and damnation, you're demonized and this and that. That's not helpful. That's not helpful, because fear does not give people wisdom. We want our children to make decisions based on wisdom.
Wisdom.
Not fear, not threats, not public shame, humiliation, and condemnation, but wisdom, so that they understand you have a connection to the divine. It's right in your body. And you don't ever want to take that connection lightly, because every soul that comes through you is an expression of the divine, is the Spirit of God. That's who's coming through you. And if they choose to come through you, that's an honor for you. So why would you dishonor yourself by refusing to allow them to come through you? And if you are not ready to be that holy vessel for a life for the Spirit of God, then do not perform the act with someone who also is not ready to be the teacher and guide and protector of the life that's choosing to come through you. So when you teach that at the age of 4 and 5 and 6, and you reinforce it all the way up until the time they get to puberty, they'll understand it better than if you just start fussing at them when you see them suddenly developing breasts and facial hair and all other things that signify adulthood. And then you start trying to put the fear of hell in them, and they can't hear you because their hormones are screaming so loud. But you have to teach before the hormonal change. And then as the hormonal change happens, remind them, but don't make it a fear, shame, guilt situation, because they still have to make adult choices once their bodies become adults.
Now I want to take a break here because I forgot to take it at the top of the hour. We've been, the Female Solution is going to be going to an hour show programming, but tonight I knew this was going to go over an hour. But let me take a break because we want our timing to be a break at the hour mark so we can use this show later. And then we'll come back. When we come back, Lawrence Lenoir is really saying some powerful, wise stuff. I want to read his comment when we come back. And that's exactly what we want to talk about for the rest of the show, is how do we educate? Why do we educate? And, what is our role? Each of us have a role, I think, to educate the younger generation.
The Female Solution Global Radio TV show invites you to an invigorating, empowering, interactive conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Gathering of the Griots with Asada. Wednesdays, Repairing Family Relationships with Naima and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Veggie Brunch Live with Angela. Fridays, Health and Well-Being with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Global Talks with Zana. Second Saturday, Walk in Your Divine Authority with Mama Joy. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. Fourth Saturday, be a judge on the virtual Teens, Tweens, and Tots Talent Contest. And fifth Saturday, join us on location as we conversate at the Elevate Cafe, owner Jackie Brooks. Sundays, join us 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Go to thefemalesolution.com to join us on our video or audio live streaming platforms. Listen at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in on the Blog Talk Radio Network 515-605-9325 or call in and comment on the On Air Radio Network 727-731-5192. We want to hear from you.
And we are back. Thank you so much for the participation tonight, because I think we have the best solution when we come together collectively with all our wisdom and experience and share and come up with a program. Now, if you're just joining us, we already know what the problem is. The problem is partly, let's just mention this, which hasn't been mentioned. The population of Black melanin people has been going down. Black people, melanin people in the United States, the population has decreased. You can check that in your Google or whatever. Why? Partly because Black women make up 4% of the Black reproductive women, 4% of the population, and yet they're like 40% of abortions. So they have bought hook, line, and sinker the idea from the reproductive rights campaign that your body, your choice, you don't have to bring forth a new life if you don't have the money, if you don't have a husband, if you don't have all the different reasons, we got a problem. Because okay, so if you're really into black power, you should be really ready to make a difference in the next generation of baby makers. And what I'm seeing is a lot of Caucasian women are grabbing these Black men and having mulatto babies. That's what I'm seeing. I notice that everywhere. We got more men that are being born because Black men are choosing, and then Black women are choosing some of the other race. But either way, the Black population is down. So what Lawrence Lenoir is saying here, educating our children, is preventive maintenance. Like a car, you don't fix that. If you don't put oil in that car and take care of the car ain't gonna run. Education, he says, prevents the psychological, spiritual, and emotional damage. We got a lot of Black women especially, but women in general, who are damaged spiritually, and they don't think they should be producing. Instead, they want life conveniences of no children and make a lot of money. And he says that damage that will emerge if natural reproduction are not explained. So the consequences, to me, are not being thought out with these women and men. Of now, you have fewer Black people on the planet because you've been aborting them and eliminating. And now we've got some people in the Blog Talk Radio. I need to open up their mic. They've been waiting.
How about Kwame Sunhorse says, if you would open his mic, please.
Okay, I got Kwame, and I think that's Mama AZ. So let me open up Kwame Sunhorse. Your mic is open. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Sister Beata. And, this is a very good conversation, and we need to be doing this. Right now, today, 12,393 children came out of the womb. 12,923 live birth came out of the womb. There's a book called Brown the New White by Steve Phillips. You can get it, and you can see he even has YouTubes on talking about the population. We're recreating, but, somebody was saying that, about what is life. Is that when I was in my mother's womb, my sperm was given to me, that now I have 5 daughters and 2 sons. that they were able to create with eggs and other from women that carried eggs when they were in their mother's womb. So therein lies the generation, because when a woman conceives, that's 3 generations. 3, her, the womb that's developing, and what's developing in the womb is developing the next set of human beings that's going to come through that person. That's Creator's divine intelligence. That cycle does not change. It does not change. The thing that we're looking at is, we talk about into me see. When you conceive, you see into that being that being is ready to bring other beings through its being. And how do you program the mitochondria DNA that the woman carries to continuation on? Because we're a continuation of the consciousness that was of the first beings. And I think it was Yaki was talking about the child being born, and life goes. When we was breeding, the first breast coming out of that womb was $300 to $500, according to if it was male or female. That's the way we were looked at once upon a time. Now we don't want it to come out and breathe. But when it was beneficial for the master to say that when that child comes out, that's $300 to $500 that I know I got to benefit from. And the more that I pump out of her, the more I know that I'm going to have my financial wealth. We've lost something somewhere, people. We've lost something very seriously. And how do we value the whole thing of the spiritual energy exchange? Because that is the most powerful thing. Because let there be light. When that sperm loses its tail and goes into that egg, and the chemical makeup that happens and it explodes into light, it says, let there be light. That is when light happens. And those cells begin to develop, because you're that 1 in a million. Each one of us that's speaking right now, each one of us that's typing on this line, each one of us is on this planet is 1,000,000 to 1 shot. 1,000,000 to 1. And one thing, brothers, you're going to have to learn something. Right now, back in the 40s, we would ejaculate 160 million sperm per milliliter. Today, we're ejaculating 40 million. We done lost 120 million sperms from diet, infection, electronics. All of these things are depleted. So they say by the time 25th, men will be sterile. Why you think they selling Viagra and all these other things, and you have erectile dysfunction? You ain't shooting nothing but blanks.
So I got a question. I have a question, because some points that a lot of people are aware of. The fact that our previous position as breeders of children created some social distortions, so that we had generations of people having children without the intention of forming a family, because we were in a state of bondage. But then after our emancipation, we really were very much into forming family groups, because for us, it was a sign of freedom and human dignity to be able to marry someone and raise your children in a family. And then, and this is a thing we go through even in our book, Slavery, the African-American Psychic Trauma, and also in the book, The Female Solution, the social disruption that has led us to this state where our children are just having sexual intimacy without the context of a family, because they're seeking love. And they're missing love because a lot of their families are broken. So it becomes a vicious cycle. Now, my question is, regardless of how we should have prepared the young people who are having children, and we got all the single parent female headed households, I think it's like 70% in some places. That's a reality that exists. And these are not families that can teach these things because they don't have the example that they're showing. So how many of us would be willing to take a young single mother under our wing and help her so that she's not struggling so badly financially, so that she's making bad choices? And how many brothers would be willing to take a young man under his wing who may have fathered children but has no clue as to what he should be doing as a man because he didn't have a father? That's a question. How are we going to mentor those who've already produced children and don't have a support system that will enable them to be the kind of strong, spiritually grounded parents that could teach the things that would help their children not make the same mistakes? And then the third question, which is the question that was posed in the book, The Female Solution, are we willing to allow men who have the strong spiritual foundation to be able to be fathers in more than one family if it is for the good of those children who need to see a father figure that is showing them what a man who is responsible for children, what that looks like? And it's not about having sex, it's about being someone who can give that woman the support that she needs, because that's the reason why so many women get abortions, because they foresee they're not going to get any support if they have the child. So are we?
We've got some hands raised in the Blog Talk. Mama AZ, did you hear the questions Naima's posing? Do you have a comment or answer here? Mama AZ, your mic's open.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. And then we have another caller, 229, will come to you right after Mama AZ.
Oh my God, Dr. Lateef, you are so on point. And Sister Zelda, I'd like to get together with you to talk about what you have learned about the home.
Unhoused.
The homeless people.
Unhoused.
Yeah, unhoused. There you go. Help me. Oh God, you're on point, Sister Zelda, and I need to pick your brain. But anyway, I'd like to dedicate this show to my grandson, Xavier Pierre Lewis, because he has two daughters. And a lot of things that you have mentioned on this show, and Dr. Lateef and Brother Pianke, oh my God, what you said about the sacred portal from earth to heaven, however you put it, my dear brother. And greetings, Brother Pianke and Brother Kwame and Brother Kofi. Oh my God, you're on point. Everything that everybody has said is one way or the other on point. And Dr. Lateef, are we willing? That's a major question. Are we willing to take a young woman or a young man up under our wings? And I'm talking to you, Xavier, my grandson, because you have two daughters and you have nephews that you can be in charge of. So please pay attention, grandson, please. You're right. Are we willing, Dr. Lateef, the time, the energy, the love to teach the correctness of how to be with one another? And the major question I heard you ask, Dr. Lateef, are the women ready to be able to handle one man with several moms, if that man is able to step up to the plate, to the kitchen table university, to teach, to be a father figure? Is that what I kind of heard you ask? Are the females willing to be open-minded and open-hearted enough to be in a relationship or a situation like that? Is that not what I heard you say, Dr. Lateef?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, that's it. I mean, if you have children who need a father, and you have mothers who need, whether it's financial assistance, emotional support, whatever the case may be, and there is a person who is able to provide that for more than one woman, our focus has to be what is best for the children and what do the children need, so that the children are in wholesome, safe environments in their homes, so women can feel that they have support. Now, if we have been conditioned to think we're in competition with each other and we have to fight each other and we have to eliminate each other, then we're not thinking what is good for the collective good, which is the children. Because if we cannot get along and be cohesive as mothers, then the other alternative is that we end up killing our children. What did the sister say about you sacrificing your child for the sake of money? That's what ends up happening. Well, I don't have, the father left, whatever happened, I'm by myself, he's on drugs, whatever happened, the person I thought I loved or thought loved me or whatever, he's gone, I got these children, I don't have help, I'm pregnant again, I can't do this again, I'm just going to have the abortion. Those are the choices women make because we're not giving them alternative choices, because we're not forming a sisterhood around them. We're not saying, look, we can take turns watching each other's children. We're not saying, look, we can help each other financially. We're not offering anything but criticism and condemnation. So that's why they're having abortions, because they know that the alternative is criticism, condemnation, and no help.
And Lawrence Lenoir, again, is offering a lot of wisdom. Wait, hold on, Mom AZ. Let me just bring Lawrence back in, because this brother is offering a lot of wisdom. He says, keep it simple. Educate yourself. That is like number one. Educate yourself. We can't force anybody to do anything, but those words from Lawrence should motivate, inspire each of us to say, do I need to start educating myself past what you were told by the education plantation and teach your children? So we all can become educators for the children, but we also need to become doulas. Doulas are those who offer support to women who become pregnant. Everybody, you don't have to have a formal education to become a doula. You just have to be willing.
Okay, that I'd like to say, when Dr. Lateef said the babies have the choice. When I was at a Sacred Fire at Arts Cabin in Virginia, just me and myself in that fire, my nephew and my niece came to me. My sister's grandbabies, her daughter's babies, came to me. It's on a blog talk show. I talked about it.
I remember you said that they said that because they made a choice not to come, then they ended up miscarried.
I said, why are you giving your mom so much trouble? With carrying you, and they left at 7. And they said, Aunt Robbie, we came to you because we know you understand and overstand this process. And we came to let you know that your family is not equipped to bring us to the level that we came here in the first place to do. And I'm like, what? And they said, we're leaving. And 3 days later, family, when I get back from Arts Cabin in Virginia to High Point, North Carolina, my sister calls me and says the baby's aborted. And I'm like, I know. And she was so upset, she cussed me out. My sister, Maddie. And my caregiver, she said, Miss Arizona, you said that. You sure did. You said that. Well, the babies came and they explained to me that they weren't equipped. The grandmother, their mother, they were not equipped to bring them to a certain level. And I believe Dr. Lateef said that the babies have choices too.
Absolutely.
If we figure out that we're not equipped and with the knowledges that's needed for them to be at full capacity in this lifetime, they choose to get on out of Dodge. And that's what my niece and nephew came to tell me, because they knew that I would talk about it. I would express it. And that's what you said, Dr. Lateef, did you not?
Oh, absolutely. We matter of fact, listened to a person with a near-death experience a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about his pre-birth memory and before a life before this current incarnation. He remembered that he got ready to be born and then chickened out and decided, I can't do this. And he decided to leave. And of course, that killed the fetus, which, of course, caused a miscarriage. But he was able to see how his decision to not come and not be born, how that had an adverse effect on the mother, because she was anticipating the baby and she had a miscarriage. And she was, of course, devastated, and everybody connected with her with the death was devastated. So he was able to see that once he went back to the other side, and he could see how his choice not to be born hurt her. But there is more than just the mother's choice involved. It's three people who are making a choice, and ultimately that child can choose to not come, and they have the last word. Because if they decide they change their mind because they don't like the circumstances or whatever the case may be, they're just not ready for this earth experience, they have that right to choose as well. And they might feel, oh, what did I do wrong? I did something, my baby's stillborn or whatever. No, because that child has free will just like you do. And you can choose to not allow it to be born and have that abortion.
Okay, Kwame.
But
Kwame has a comment here. Go ahead.
And that's a very important part, because that's a very part of our memory that we have disconnected. Because the mother connects to that child, and it even has the ability to talk to it before it comes out of the body, comes into the body. This is the spiritual connection. This is why I say it's a spiritual energy exchange. The part that you said the brother did that, because even when this little kid came to see the doctor, to see the psychiatrist because he was having a bad temper tantrum, they were going to put him on medication, and so the mother brought him in, and he took him in, and he asked him, why are you so mad? He says, every time I tried to come here, she kept sending me back, and I'm mad at her. She hasn't apologized for doing what she did and kept sending me back. And so he went out in the office and asked the mother to come in and said, can you share what you shared with me about? He says, every time I tried to come here, you kept sending me back. So he said, have you had abortions? She said, yeah, I had to have a few abortions in order to finish school. Therein lies the part of what you're saying, Naima. The part that we have that spiritual connected, each of us, and the part of learning that the mother can talk to the child while it's in the womb. Even in the movie Dune, the new one they had, the child is in the womb and is remembering the father, what it said that it wanted it to do when it comes here, and it was telling it to the mother.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's when we understand, and I think that's also part of what we have to teach. When we teach our children, that these are souls that are coming through you, and they're making a choice to come through you. When you have that act of sexual intimacy, you're opening the door for them to come through you. And if you're not ready, then do not create that situation where, like Bianchi said, you end up creating a haunted house. You're taking a life out of the home that they were in because you changed your mind. But and I don't know if I ever told you all the story about my niece and her babies, but like Baba Kwame's saying, you know you can communicate telepathically with a child in the womb. And my niece, when she was 7 months pregnant, and she had been kind of like, she's an artist, very creative person, but not really serious about life. She wasn't, she just like party girl, stuff like that. So when she came over to the house and she was about 7 months pregnant, and she's like, "Oh, the baby's kicking." So I said, "Oh, really?" So I put my hand on her stomach, baby's moving, and I sent a question telepathically to the child. And I just asked, "Why are you here?" And the child sent an answer back to me. "I came here to help her." And I understood that he actually came to help her mature because she was not serious about life. But after he was born, I actually saw her transformation, how she became very health conscious, very studious. She got serious about school, made the dean's list and graduated with honors, all that stuff. And just really a hard worker. And I mean, got her whole life together for the sake of taking care of her child. And I saw how his birth helped her. Now, of course, he's 8 years old now. He would not remember any of that. But I understood that he made a choice to come through her and her partner at the time, they were the family that raised him. And I saw how his coming here helped her mature in a way that nothing else did. She hadn't been serious about college. She hadn't been serious about life, what she's going to do with her career. Now she's very focused. She, doing murals for the Cook County hospitals and everything. Because, she's always had an artistic talent, but she was not serious about life until the child came. And the fact that he made a choice to come through her to help her in that maturing process, it lets me know children make choices to come through you. So you might think you're not in a good position to be a mother because maybe you don't have your degree or maybe you don't have a job, but they're here to give you that incentive so that you can develop. And maybe that's what some women don't understand. Yeah, you might be 17 and pregnant. You might be 25 and divorced and, pregnant in a relationship where it's over, whatever. But that child made a choice to come through you so that they could actually help you make some choices that would enhance your life. They're really coming here for your benefit. So even if somebody thinks, well, the best choice for me is an abortion because I don't have my finances, or I don't have this, I don't have that, or, I'm not together with the father. The child is actually trying to help you in your situation if you are willing to make that adjustment and go ahead and be a mother. But, it's difficult for a woman to make that decision if she doesn't have emotional support especially from the women around her. They need to encourage her and give her the support she needs so she's not feeling like she's all alone and desperate and has to make a choice to end the life of a child or end the pregnancy.
Well, I think Naima, Zelda, Deborah, this is the beginning of, I think, a curriculum for us. We need to develop a curriculum for 2025 for women to understand what Lawrence is saying here, holistic sexual and ethnicity evolution education that reveals our future by the template that they used on us in the past. Now, Zelda, you said this is your guest tomorrow?
Yes, Lawrence Lenoir will be on in the morning from 7 to 8 a.m. Reverend Lawrence Lenoir, yes. And we will be
Lawrence, let's see you tomorrow.
So yes. I don't think there's any accident that we're talking about a curriculum. All of us contributing to a new education system for women and men and boys. Let's say boys and girls, because we got to start this early. We do. And maybe we can, and then in our curriculum, we need to include education for the parents.
Yeah.
Yes. Educate your children on the holistic sexual ethnicity. So everybody tune in tomorrow. And Lawrence Lenoir, am I saying that right?
Lawrence Lenoir.
Lenoir, looks French. Are you sure he ain't French? No, he don't look French.
Who knows? we mixed with a little bit of everything. Who knows?
Yeah, that's probably some French in that name, Lenore and Lenoir. I say Lenoir. We're gonna put you in the French category. No, but Lawrence, we appreciate. I hope to hear tomorrow a little bit more about the holistic sexual, because I believe we're beginning the development of a curriculum, and we've talked about the School of Peace before.
Yes.
And this year of so much division about reproductive rights should motivate us to create as soon as possible, so that who is that whispering generation?
I heard that.
That I was thinking generational. See, we have to stop being generational thieves. We as elders are now putting our minds together and creating what you call a curriculum. But these are pages of life that we know. Each one is speaking what they know about life and how the conceptions and how life, because most of us have children on here that are produce more children.
Mm-hmm.
We have a curriculum that can be passed on.
And unfortunately, the millennials are so busy trying to earn money, they're unconscious. Most of them.
No, I mean, but we have to look at who created that environment where they felt like that's what they had to do. We did that. We have to take responsibility for that, because we gave them the values that they have. We're the ones who said that money is what makes you worth being respected. We taught them that, and they watched us responding to people with money in a way that showed we had more respect and value of those people, and they watched us treat people without money very badly. They watched us do that. So we
raising designer children.
Yes. And it's like they don't have the money, but they in debt. That's what is going on. They're creating a lifestyle from a credit card. So let's just be clear about that.
Credit card companies, they saw it, because I mean, all of us know how credit card companies start sending you when your last year in college. They start sending you all these letters and trying to get you to start
your first year of college.
Your first year,
7th and 8th grade.
I know they're getting earlier and earlier. So
there's a lot to unlearn and undo. Mama AZ, did you have a question or comment again?
I do, and thank you so much. I have a quick question for Dr. Lateef. Dr. Lateef, in the cases of rape, if the little child is 8 years old and her dad rapes her, did that child? Why do you think those things happen? Let me see. You know what I want to say. Did that baby on the other side specifically set that scenario up, from your opinion, your things that you've learned, to happen for a particular reason, even though it's atrocious, this, that, and the other? What's your opinion about that?
Well, I'll tell you about a story that I learned of someone who, went through a past life regression, and they had been the child of a rapist, and they, of course, very traumatic because their mother hated them and all this sort of thing. And they wanted to find out what happened. And what they found out was that in a previous life, the one who was their father in this life had actually killed them in another life. And so what that person had to do was give him life in this particular lifetime. But he came through his mother as it was just like a lot of karmic history between all the people involved. So he came through his mother in that act of violence because there was a violent history in all three of their lives together. And so it just manifested in the rapist being the father, and then the mother being pregnant, and the child who had been the victim of murder in another life, who's now the son of the man who had murdered him in another life. That was part of the family dynamics, and the whole thing was all of them having to go through that experience in order to ultimately evolve to a level of forgiveness.
Now,
But it was a karmic relationship that created that situation, and that person's, telling his story about how he came to have come through somebody in a case of rape.
Okay.
So, and
Mama
somebody.
Izzy, we're getting to the end of the show. Mama
Yes,
Izzy,
ma'am.
that is advanced curriculum. We are not going to cover that right away. I mean, advanced curriculum. Let's offer that.
I understand.
I know.
I understand. I just needed to hear that from her
I know.
today.
I know.
'Cause keep in mind, today is a 7.
Okay. But you need to talk to Naima on the advanced curriculum that we'll offer maybe later into next year. But that's not going to be in
The advanced curriculum, because there's, I mean, if we are all eternal beings, and so the life we're focusing on now is just the one inside this body right now. But we are the sum total of all of our life experiences, even the ones we know nothing about, and a lot of that is even influencing this life in ways we don't know. And we're not supposed to know, because otherwise it would interfere with what we're supposed to do right now.
Yeah.
So,
And you're talking about incest. Incest has been a problem for centuries. And so how far back are we going to go with the problem? The problem is going back to past lives, past hundreds of years in Europe. I mean, we could go back quite a ways, even before the last century, to talk about incest. So I'm just suggesting, as we go forward, let us individually, as Lauren suggested, educate ourselves so that we can become doulas, support women who are pregnant, so that we can develop a curriculum, each one of us participating. We could have in this curriculum guest speakers. Kwame's our guest speaker today. Lawrence is our guest speaker. But we have to have a curriculum around, I think, the idea of sacred sex, sacred body, holistic everything, including the spirit, the mind, the body. That's because our education system has failed us. That is why I am in 100% agreement to get rid of the federal government education system. They have done nothing but cause miseducation all the way through. It's time for us as melanin people, number one, to take on the responsibility of educating the children in our community and our city. And it's something about, I don't know, this is just a side thing. I'm going to digress. I'm noticing people like Rihanna and what's her name? Rihanna and all these stars, Beyonce, are turning blonde and pale skin. Every time I see these two, they're looking more European. They're dyeing their hair. So what are our children looking at? I'm saying this to say our children are putting these type of entertainers and people on a pedestal, and they're looking at them as their role models. We need to become the role models now. Stop. Put Rihanna and Beyonce off to the side. We need to put all those role models and and start becoming the role models for this generation, younger generation. Because I can see the influence. I see Beyonce and Rihanna in the blonde hair, and their skins are getting lighter. And then I go to the grocery store, and here I am seeing a dark-skinned woman with blonde hair, and I'm like, where did that come? I see more dark-skinned women with blonde wigs, and they're looking at these entertainers as their role models. Let us become like my sister Zelda, demonstrating the goddess. Let my sister Naima, my sister Deborah, let us become the role models, especially to these young Black youth. Because they're confused as hell about who they are. They putting on the image of somebody in Europe instead of someone in Africa. Is there an in-between for that?
Well,
Stop using that synthetic whatever. Stop putting that synthetic poison inside your body. Stop putting that synthetic stuff on your head, because it comes and it's got other animals and whatnot in there.
Yeah. It's an
And it's going
education.
into your
Energy
brain.
that you don't need in your
Disconnecting the
aura.
AI in a child's life is
Yeah.
most important.
He said
Because
disconnecting
they're
the AI.
stealing the focus of the child.
Yeah.
Your child spends more time on AI than it does in your presence, and you cornered it.
But we better pay attention to AI. We got to pay
more
attention.
time on a phone or tablet than it does with you who pays for it.
Yeah. So all of that is in our
What does
curriculum.
that say about us?
Yeah. Naima, Deborah, Zelda, this is all part of a curriculum we're talking about. So I am so very grateful that we have had so much wisdom coming in and so much knowledge coming in to help us develop a curriculum for our youth that will help them be holistic in their lifestyle and not be ignorant. Because that's this abortion thing to me is all about ignorance. They just don't know how sacred they are, and how special they are.
And trafficking of people.
Genocide.
Is
Genocide.
for real.
What did Kanye West said something so powerful? I was listening to an old recording. They went to the Jewish. He was being accused of anti-Semitism, and the Jewish handlers were saying, "Well, you need to go to a Holocaust museum tour, and you need to learn about the Holocaust." And he said to them, "What are you talking about? The Holocaust is in the womb of Black women right now."
Oh, wow. Now, I'm sure that was something that was widely quoted.
We ought to, and they're committing genocide. We could also say Black women have been committing genocide. There's all kinds of descriptions we could use to say we're in trouble, we got a problem, let's fix it. And we are the ones, the female solution are the ones who are going to bring a solution to this problem.
They fear our power.
Yes. So
They
Zelda,
fear
what's
our
your show
power.
tomorrow? We're going to say Delda will be on tomorrow morning, Monday morning mindfulness. What's the topic again with Mr. Lenoir?
Reverend Lawrence Lenoir will be joining us on how to help the community and make money while you sleep.
All right.
It's all about
we
education.
like to shake the tree while we sleep.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, looking forward to an exciting show tomorrow, and thank you all for everything. This has been quite stimulating, and I feel the presence of our ancestors cheering us on, because we are changing.
Let them give us strength and knowledge.
Ma'am, absolutely. Amen.
Well, any final words? This is it. Final words of the.
We must continue this conversation. Is it every last Saturday? Excuse me, Saturday. Sunday.
Yeah, every last Sunday of the month.
So we'll be back here on the last Saturday of the month and continue part 2.
Yes.
All right, everybody, tune in tomorrow morning. And Kwame, did you have a final word here?
Yeah, just DI on versus AI to overcome our MI. Divine intelligence versus the artificial intelligence causing the mental illness in our community.
All right. Part of
Be
the
sure-
curriculum.
Be sure and call in the morning, Baba Kwame. We
Yes,
always
and
need
I
your
think
wisdom.
that'll be a topic for you to lecture on in the new curriculum.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jaref. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.
And to all my yogi friends out there, Satnam, Namaste, and Shalom. Love you all. Mwah. Thank you, sisters. Have a good evening.
See you in the morning.